Dumelang, Sanbonani, Absheni, hello. To some we say shalom, to some we say khutu, and to some we say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Out of all the greetings to all that, ladies and gentlemen, the purpose for these videos is to break all the misconceptions of belief. I said belief itself as that people now tend to ask me questions that, hey, my man, you are a Muslim, you are upon the ways of the Indians and Arabs, yet you stay in South Africa, you are an African, whatever might be the business. So first, to those who know, or to those who want to know, to those who want to seek knowledge, to those who seek advice, I thank you for asking me questions out of sincerity and the best of intention of wanting to know, of not making yourself better, because gone are those days whereby people were stereotypical of the things that are happening in nowadays and the things that used to happen and why they used to happen. Yet, in short, we know that our forefathers were upon the misguidance of their own forefathers because they had a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of resources. Yet today we have everything in our hands, yet why don't we use it? So why don't I use the platform today to guide those that needs to be guided? I'm not a scholar, I'm not a pastor, I'm not a preacher, but just a young boy from the hood giving advice. That's it. And I repeat, I'm not doing this for money or fame, but I'm doing it from the best intention of giving people the knowledge about the religion, the knowledge about themselves as South Africans, as Africans and people. So the introduction, thanks for that. And for the people who ask me the question that, am I running away from my culture? Business for today is that, ladies and gentlemen, what is culture? Linguistic terms or simple terms, we say it's a way of doing things. Sharp, it's a way of doing things. Upon who? Upon who? Yes, it's a way of doing things upon who taught us to do things. Who's that guy we would point one day that someone taught us how to do things? So us, as South Africans, we have our own culture. Arabs have their own culture. Islam within itself has its own culture. Don't contradict Indian culture or Arab culture with Islam, because Islam is perfect. It has its own culture. So to keep this video short, I've made several examples of people saying that I'm running away from my culture, but truly speaking, who's really running away from his or her own culture? I'm gonna make 3 examples. South African wedding, South African funeral, South African dressing. 3. Islamic wedding, Islamic funeral, Islamic dressing. Those are the examples for today. Yes, there are more things I could put, but they say the best way to give advice and for someone to understand is to keep things short. So to keep the thing short, let's continue. So, ladies and gentlemen, today people have made marriage the most difficult thing ever. We've made marriage the most difficult thing, yet we believe that the age of marriage, it should be 40 upwards. Some 30 if you're successful. Sharp. I get that you wanna marry when you stable, you independent first. You have your own house, you have your own car, you have your... Yes, I agree 100%. But then we're talking about beliefs, right? If you are upon the belief of putting God in your beliefs, in that 30 to 40 years, how many people would you hurt? How many people would you fornicate yourself with? How many people... I don't want to be into detail with that, because that's not the business for today. So the age of getting married in South Africa today, you can do stats. I was looking at the stats. They're driving me crazy, because the stats of marriage is dropping. It's dropping, and the stats of divorce, it's going up. It's true. That's life, guys. But why can't in the age of 20 you get married? Because you can't afford a wife, you can't afford... you can't afford it. You wanna know why? Because you were taught that your lobala should be half a million. Half a million, my guy. 50,000 lobola. Why? 50,000, guys. 50,000. Yet I'm gonna pay for lobola. 50,000. Yet I don't have a house. We've made it difficult for people to get married. Yet you come to Islam, they will tell you that the only way you wanna get married, they find for you the women or the husband of your own preference, without you making funny business of dating and whatever. That's not upon the way of God and his messengers. They find the best candidate or the best husband or wife upon your preference. When they find him or her, you agree upon each other. Yes, we want to get into this nikah. In Arabic, marriage. Right? That lobola. I mean a part of lobola. Right? So we call it the dowry. In English, simple English, a dowry, that there's a certain percentage that a girl would want, maybe in a form of money or in a form of anything. Let me make you an example. I have a friend. I won't mention his name. I have a friend. He used to study at UJ. He got married. Was it last year or year before last? Yeah. The time, to keep it short, he got his wife said, I don't want you to give my family money, but I want you to, something along those lines, but just buy me a laptop. That's it. Today they're happily married. My friend is 20, 25, if I'm not mistaken. Now 25 to 26, somewhere there. Happily married. Young people are scared to get married today because they have made marriage difficult for them. In a matter whereby, how am I 25 and having 50,000 in my account? Because if you say you are an African, you're following your culture and wada, why can't I just go take my cows out of the kraal and give your family? And don't tell me I'm upon the ways of the Arabs and Indians. Don't tell me that. the age, I've passed it, because in Islam now, because Muslims in South Africa, upon the constitution, they have to get, in minimum age is 18 in South Africa. In other countries is lesser going, but in South Africa basically it's 18 upon its constitution. But in continuation, sharp. Other things people are scared of is that getting married, hey man, it's gonna require me to have a white wedding and a traditional wedding. Sure. Oh, this topic, that's the best one. That's the best one. Alright. My guy, you scared to get married because you don't afford a traditional and a white wedding? Yes, because that's the culture of South Africa. They have adopted the culture of them getting married for 2 days and getting married traditionally and white wedding. Where does white wedding come from? White wedding comes from Great Britain. You are a South African. And yet, let me give you the history of white wedding in brief. Right? White wedding, people they wear white wedding, white dress, right? Under the symbolization of light, goodness, purity, innocence, and virginity. And in their culture, in Great Britain, you don't wear a white dress if you're not a virgin. That's their culture. Then the question becomes scary. Then how many people today have worn white dresses and they are not virgins? Let's go to those who read the Bible. I'm not judging people. We do what we do. We commit sin, yes, but let's not contradict life, man. We go to those who read the Bible. Sex before marriage is a sin. Now it's catching up with you. It's catching up with you when you are wearing the white dress and you're not a virgin at that time. That's not the business for today. But I'm trying to make a point that you have adopted other cultures. Yet you have the right and audacity to judge whomsoever follows the belief. Yet to make it simple, right? The ceremony of getting married in an Islamic way, the ceremony is simple. Husband and wife, they come together, exchange vows in a masjid. They exchange vows. There's no this thing that you have to go to church and decorate the church, make it nice, in. No, simple. You go to the masjid the way it is. Have weaknesses. That's the most important thing. Weaknesses. You can get weaknesses anywhere. Guys, that's how simple Islam is. You get weaknesses, you exchange vows, you sleep. We recite the Quran at that time. When you sleep married, happily. You don't have the stress that I've made a loan for this wedding. You don't have the stress that I'm in debt because of this wedding. Yet you've paid 20,000 to 50,000 for the wedding event only. Yet you don't have, or you don't afford to buy your husband or your wife a house, or even pay rent for the whole year for a room. You don't. Yet you make other people suffer. They're getting married spend around 20 to 50,000 for the wedding. Yet the wife is married and stays at the husband's home with his mom, aunties, nana, and the wife at that time, she's a makoti for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, Yo, hell starts. Now you, my sister, you feeling it. That is not your home. That is not your house. But you are married. How much did you spend for your wedding? How much? So the matter of getting married, guys, it's an issue. Which culture? Because traditionally it's easy. If we're saying we're following a South African tradition or your Zulu tradition or what, it's simple. Families come together, they have an agreement, we pay certain amount, and that's it. We agree that okay, this is what that's our culture. That's our culture. That's it. I give you the certain percentage of cows, and that's it. There's no huge event. There's no lobola. The many lobola or the huge amount of people pay for lobola. There's no fancy American Swiss rings. There's no fancy venues. There's no fancy DJs. There's no fancy clothes, and etc. That's why today we're scared to get married. Because we adopted the culture of making life difficult for Africans. Because we too I don't know, I don't want to say greedy, but we too adoptive to make our life difficult. It works for the Great Britain people. It works. Wearing a white dress, yet you are a virgin. So that's the first example of who's adopting whose culture and which one is easier. So let's continue. The second example, it's a funeral. Now it's getting hot. Imagine you facing this in a period of 2 to 6 months. Spending for a marriage or wedding and spending for a funeral. Yet you worried, what kind of a casket am I gonna bury this person with? You want a casket just to prove your neighbor that you can afford even though you don't afford. You wanna cook fancy food to prove to the people who are coming to your funeral that you afford even though you don't afford. Who are you pleasing? Are you pleasing them, or you should please the only one who created you? Simple. I'm trying to make a point. I'm not a preacher. Who? You hire catering for your funeral. I'm not saying you should not. If you afford, yes. Do it. But if you don't afford, but you're trying to prove a point to people who tomorrow they will laugh at you when you're in debt. You want a funeral parlor whereby they're gonna bring Mercedes Benz to bury someone. They say pay a monthly premium and pay an extra amount for the Mercedes Benz and fancy buses and fancy tents and what, just to prove for someone that you can afford even though you don't afford. Why make life so difficult? Yet Africans used to make life simple. When someone has passed on, they would take a cow skin, wrap the body, bury the body, without complications of worrying about the caskets, money, food and anything. Yet you telling me I'm adopting the culture of Indians and Arabs. Yet when you come into Islam, they will tell you that if you die today, my man, my lady, you should be buried in less than 72 hours. The only thing you should worry, it's actually nothing. There's no hash needed. There's no fancy food needed. There's no fancy clothes, because I feel like in today's funeral, it's a parade. It's a fashion show. Today's funeral, it's a fashion show. I'm not a pastor, but I'm trying to prove a point. People spend a lot of money depriving themselves from paying things that are like compulsory. To keep this short, ladies and gentlemen, in Islam we buried in less than 72 hours, right? We don't use caskets to bury. Some they do. Don't know why. Why make your life difficult? If you afford, you afford. There are no fancy food and what. The procedure of getting married, we take 3 white cloths, we wrap the body, we bury the body. We pray. After praying, we go home. And that's it. Did I pay the amount for after tears, did you? No, because families today, they pay the DJ for after tears. The following Monday, kids don't have money, they don't have food to go to school because mama and papa was in after tears. May God protect you. In conclusion, they say, most to our Muslim sisters, this is the issue they complain about, whereby they are being offended about how they dress. Because little did they know, those kafirah, those disbelievers, they didn't know that the reason you dress like this, my sister, you show humility, you show modesty and respect towards your family and husband. Yet today in South Africa, the best way to dress is to be sexy. I don't dispute. It's to be sexy. To some, it's heartbreaking how today girls have to wear just to get one's approval. Just to fit in, I should wear a weave, I should wear skinny dresses, I should wear heels, no matter how uncomfortable they are, no matter how painful they are, no matter how you do not feel happy about it, but just to fit in, so that I can get self-appreciation. I appreciate myself because people view me as nice, even though I don't feel like I'm nice. This is today. If I expose my private parts, if I expose my buttocks, if I expose my boobs, then I'm nice, then I'm stunning. Yet to those who are married, my lady, my sister, that's your application for divorce. Because those buttocks and those boobs are only for one eyes, your husband. The whom you made him pay 20,000, 50,000 for lobola. Yet, how many people share the eyes of those boobs and buttocks? Sorry for the language, but you have to keep it real. You have to keep it real. What's the point of us doing this if we're not gonna keep it real? For you to appreciate yourself, you should reveal your body for what? Yet the Muslim, you always tease them everything that they're wearing those clothes that are ninja, that are they're crazy, they're out of their mind, they're covering their heads and their faces for what? Because their body are only meant to be seen by only one person, husband. And even family. That's it. To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not running away from my culture, but I'm coming closer to my culture. I'm not adopting things that make my life difficult now and in future. I'm trying to make a point. To those who want to know, to those who seek advice, we thank you for taking the advice. We thank you for being amongst those who are guided. And to those Africans who still are steadfast upon the ways of the Africans, and upon those sisters who have been discriminated for wearing hijabs and burqas. To those who are offended every day for choosing the religion that they say it's upon the religion of the Arabs only. May God be with you, may God guide you, and may God keep you steadfast. And for those who are disbelievers and for those who are judgmental, we pray that you become amongst those who are guided. So, ladies and gentlemen, the business for today is that don't ever judge someone and say they're running away from the culture or their own customs and beliefs, yet let alone you are the one who's running away from them. So have a good life, pray for good marriage, pray for a best funeral in your family, the affordability, the independency. So that's the advice I'm giving people, that pray for success, and success might not lead you astray but make you humble. I thank you, my Africa. I thank you, my sisters, my brothers in Islam. I thank you, my family, and I thank you, people who have been there for me and that are there for me. Ngizawulala kahle, ngitla robala hantle. Kgotsong. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.